Hey, what's up everybody? Today I'm going to show you how to get started in Garageband, and we're going to make a lo-fi Midi remix. So something kind of like this. So we'll take a already existing song. You don't need to know how to play anything. We're going to use what's called Midi files. So basically the notes are already there, and then you're going to change up how the instruments sound and add some beats to it. And here we go. So first thing to do is go right here and download all the files that we want. So I'm going to click that, click download, and then once this pops up, just click on that again. So now it will open this folder here. Let's double click on that to show everything inside here. Okay, so here's all our files to choose from. They all end in .mid, so that means MIDI. And I'm just going to choose one of these. If I double click on it, then it will open in Garageband. And that's what we're going to use to make this song. Okay, so here we've got 5 different tracks, and this song, just by default, is using string ensemble instruments. Let's hear what it sounds like right now. There we go. Concerto for 2 Violins by J.S. Bach. So let's look at our requirements here. What are we going to do with this? 1 to 2 minutes long. Can we do that? Let's see. How long is this thing? I can't tell. 15, 17, 19? Just so you know, these numbers are not referring to minutes. These are, I guess they're measures in like the sheet music. So if you want to see how long it is in time, you can click this little drop down arrow right here, change that to beats and time, or just time if you want. And now that shows us how long the song is. So right there's 30 seconds. Let's see, whoa, this just keeps going. And if you need to zoom out so you can see the whole song, grab this little button right here in the corner, slide that over. So if we did this whole thing, that's 15 minutes long. We don't need that. Let's find a good stopping point in here. Right there, that's kind of like verse 2 or something. So I'm going to zoom in and measure 38. That's where I'm going to cut it. So if we want to cut these tracks in half, I'm just going to click down here at the bottom, make a rectangle, select all of these, and then I'm going to go Edit, Split Regions at Playhead. So wherever I paused it, that's where it's going to make a cut. So let's do that. Boom. Okay, now I can see they're in 2 different pieces here. So now I can select everything after the cut, hit delete, I can zoom back out. Now our whole song is 1 minute 28 seconds. Okay. Next up, let's make at least 4 different instruments and choose instruments that I think will sound cool. These ones do not. How do we change the instruments? We don't want all these fake sounding strings, so let's start with, let's zoom in here again. Start with this low one. This would be, here, I'll click the headphones and now we can listen to it just by itself. Okay, so this is what would be the bass, the low notes. The headphone icon is called solo, so that's whichever ones you click, those ones you'll hear by themselves. The other one is mute, so if there's a track you don't want to hear, then click mute. but I'm just going to leave this on solo for a sec. Now to change the instrument, that's this button right here, library. So let's open up the library so it's showing all these options, but we actually have more than that if we slide this to the left. So we don't need to stick with orchestral. We're making a lo-fi remix. So let's try one of these bass guitars. Solid Soul electric bass. What does that sound like? Okay, cool. Now this track we can see is, if you're listening to it on headphones, you can only hear it on the right ear because it is panned all the way to the right. And it must have been programmed that way because it's not letting me change it. What if I go to the very beginning and then... No, I'm not going to worry about the pan at the moment because it's going to be a little bit more complicated. Hopefully, whichever track you do, it isn't like permanent like that. Okay, let's do the next instrument. We'll just work our way up. What does this one sound like? No, I want to find which one is like the melody. That's this one. So melody means like if you were singing a song, these are the notes you would sing. So instead of violins, let's try synthesizer, lead. I don't know off the top of my head what any of these sound like, but wow, okay. Or yikes. Okay, so lots to choose from. Some are really obnoxious. I'm just going to stick with this one for now, but of course feel free to play around with anything. Alright, let's unsolo this. Actually, let's just solo these two. What do they sound like together? Alright. I really don't like that this is panned to the right, but I will fix that later. Okay, how about this one now? So we've got 5 different instruments here. What's our next requirement? Let's add beats, percussion, something like that. And we want them to have variety, not just doing the exact same beat the whole time. So how do we do that? Well, we've got this plus sign right here, add tracks. So I click that. I'm going to choose drummer. If you wanted to like play it yourself, you know, like on the keyboard, you could do that if you did Midi, but in my case, I'm going to have the drummer do it for me. So let's hit create, and there, made a drum track for us. I'm going to move that up to the top. And over here in the library, you see there's different categories of drummers. So right now I think it's in the, I think it's in the hip hop. So if I choose a different drummer, then this thing will change. So let's see what. So that's Maurice or Anton, modern hip hop. What does that sound like? Or we could try electronic. So whatever you want there. I'm going to go with Maurice here. So notice I've got this region here that lasts for eight measures. And then down here is the presets for this drum track. So right now it is using the preset called freestyle. Let's just solo this so you can hear it. So that's what freestyle sounds like. What about higher learning? Or keep it real? And I'm going to turn on looping so it'll just do this part over and over. Okay, so those are the overall presets, and then within that you've got this this window here where you can grab this little dot here and slide it around. So if I wanted it louder, drag it up. It's not a whole lot louder. If I wanted it more complex, drag it this way. If you want more or less fills, that's the little extra stuff they do at the ending of it. Okay, so there I've got one region, and then what this means by variety, it means we don't want to just have it doing this exact same beat the whole song. So instead, if I just hit the plus button right here, now this one is keeping it real. The second one is also keeping it real for now, but let's try needle drop instead. Okay, so now we got two different beats. And I kind of like it starting out with the quieter one, actually. So what if I grab this one? I'm just going to slide it to the right, out of the way, then slide this one to the left. There. Now let's see how let's turn the solo off. What if I wanted it to start out with drums and then save this for later? Well, let's just select all of the instrument tracks. I'm going to turn off these settings down here. That's this button here. There. So I can slide these over. Let's say we do one measure of the drums, two measures, I guess. Let's do it just one measure. Then I want it to do like some kind of fill right here. So let's, with the drum track selected, go up to Edit, Split Region. There, now it's two different things, and now it'll be basically like a drum intro. And then that's right here is basically like the second verse or something. So let's shorten that and have it switch to our other beat right here. Okay, I really hate this. I would have to do a lot more to make it actually sound good. I can make this one note last longer. Ooh, that's kind of cool. So because this is Midi, what Midi means is that it's just like notes that are typed into the computer. So nobody recorded this with a microphone. They just have an electronic keyboard that they played it, and the computer recorded what keys they were pressing and for how long. So any of these notes that you want to change, like here, if I select this one, it's playing this note right here, C. But if I wanted it to be a different note, I can drag it up. So now it's playing, what is that, F? And then however long it is, that's how long it'll hold that note for. So I'll just extend this so it kind of plays that note for a while. Alright, so let's fix a few things here before we export this. This panning to the right. So if we want to, let's see, if your screen looks like this, just double click on the region here. So it opens up the editor down here. Probably don't have this turned on by default. So this little symbol with these two dots. It says Show Hide Automation. So if I click on that, now it turns blue. And then down here we have this thing called Controller. And it has all kinds of settings that it controls. So I'm just going to turn the power off on the controller like that. And now if I adjust the pan, hey, now it lets me save it. So let's do, I'm just going to turn off the controller for all of these, because it also makes it so we can't adjust the volume or anything. See how it'll bounce right back. So I'm going to turn off the controller on everything. So if the song that you choose doesn't have the controller and lets you change the settings, then awesome. But if it does, this is how you take over. So now we can, let's just pan everything in the middle for now. So let's make it so it's not so dang loud. Gonna move all of these down. So this bar here is the volume for each individual track. So like this one, you can adjust how loud it is by itself. So we usually want the melody a little bit louder than everything else, but not, we don't need everything quite so dang loud. Okay, so then what I would do is go through and adjust all the volumes so I think they sound good together. Like this one, if I want these bells to just be in the background compared to everything else, I could bring the volume down. I could also try changing it to a different instrument. Yeah, something like that, so it's just in the background. I'm just gonna take a little bit of time. Not going to record the whole thing, but let's fix these so they all sound better. Okay, so I've got it all changed up. I adjusted some of the instruments and set the volumes differently. Let's have that even lower. And I split up some things here. So this is what it currently sounds like. Okay, that's much better. But right now, see how they're all panned right down the center? So just for variety, to make it sound cool in our speakers, I'm going to keep the bass right in the middle and the drums, but everything else I'm going to pan a little bit to one side or the other. So let's have this one be on the left, so we'll go like -28, and this one at like +28, something like that. There. Yeah, that's better. Then notice here I put in some gaps in the drums. And then here I cut out some of the instruments, so we've got a little bass solo. Let's make that solo last for a little bit longer. So I just slide this part over. And then maybe have this one come in here. So one thing I haven't showed you yet, we have this all going at the same tempo. So here you can see that in these settings. So beats and project, this tempo is set to 100. That means 100 beats per minute. Anyway, If we want it to be faster, let's just use the tempo track. Oh, okay, I will use the tempo track. So it did not want me to just drag that number up since it already has a tempo track, but if you're seeing this, then you can grab that little dot and adjust it. Now we're at 150. Whew. Okay, that's crazy. What about 117? Or we could go slower. Let's try like 80, 76. Okay, so you can choose a tempo that you like, and cool. All right, now let's say I'm ready to export this, submit it to Canvas. So there are instructions on how to do that right here on Canvas. Just look for this section here. But I'm going to go Share, Export Song to Disk. For this one, I want it as a WAV file. This is higher quality than these other ones, MP3, AAC. Those are, I mean, you can have high quality MP3s, but if we want the highest quality, we choose one of these two. And you want to put your name on it so I know whose file this is. And then we're calling this Midi Remix. If you know the name of the song, Bach, 2 violin, but you probably don't know the name of your song, so you can just call it Midi Remix, but make sure and have your name on there. Then hit export. Oh, and when you start out, it's probably going to look something like, I don't know, I think by default the folder says Garageband, and that is hard to find on where it actually is on the computer. So I would click this little arrow right here and then just choose desktop and save it to there. And then it does this little thing. So it takes all this information and turns it into a music file. Now if we go to our desktop, there it is. That's how you do it. So have fun with this and try out some cool instruments and add some beats to it, and we'll see what you guys come up with.